Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the one, the only, welcome to the EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro ACC GT3 Championship, round 2 at the beautiful circuit of the Nurburgring. This is the Nürburgring circuit and looking to have a lot of fun. 12 corners of chaos, 4.5 kilometers to really battle your way through. Opened in 2002, so a much younger circuit than a lot on our race track, well, on our calendar for this evening. But we are looking forward to some great racing ahead, and who is going to stand atop. So at the moment, out in qualifying, drivers going and putting the hammer down, seeing where they can really make up the time and how far they're willing to really launch up the order. With that being said, Spa-Francorchamps, who came second place last week, is looking to take the fight back to the sharp end of the field and see where exactly he can stand above all. And is going to have a lot of hard work, as Christoph Peterson did take the victory, with Henry Platt going and showing they can fight it out a little bit further ahead. So drivers are going to have to think a little bit out of the box here and moving forward. And I do want to talk about one of our more lucky drivers out on the circuit, and that was likes of Keegan Bowen, who I'm trying to find out on circuit. Keegan Bowen, who not only took his first victory, but he was still able to get a rig as well from Simulator Cave in the contest. So good to see that the luck has not worn off, and hopefully looking to take a little bit more of that luck towards the sharp end of the field. Christoph Peterson, though, puts in the fastest lap time of the race, a 1:54.4. Jason Farmer looking to fire back as quick as possible. Will be trying to really close down the distance and see where he can make up that little bit of time. Henry Platt holds on to third place as the drivers looking to move forward. Jared Bacum a little bit further down in fourth place, with Herman Whitner trying to chase him down, and Ricky Buckler down in sixth place. Ethan Lacuna going and really moving forward. Jason Abschmeyer, we saw in round 1 the side-by-side contact between Jason Abschmeyer and Christoph Peterson. There was a little bit of a discussion in the pits, but no hard feelings. And the drivers are now looking to see what they can do. Antonio Gamble coming in and saying hello, and good luck to the Griffin Sim Racing team. And Jason, my boy, that's currently in third place. I think that's what the rest of the sentence is going to be. But let's see how it all turns out. Alec Ilson, also a driver that we haven't seen for a while. Rumor says that we will be seeing out on track soon. So good to see you out there, Alec, and looking to have fun and keeping an eye on the likes of Jason Abschmeyer for the Pandassi Racing team in second place. Mike LaRue up into fourth place. First time out on the circuit this season. Beautiful colors out there in the VXR colors, the Green Speed Innovations, looking to really stand above all at the moment and coming to stand for the fight. Keegan Bowen beating out our Pro-Am division, looking to fight out yet again, but getting beaten out by Conrad Martin. Fires back with a 1:54.2 to put himself into first place and knocking off 0.2 of a second off Christoph Peterson. So really going and dialing up the wick. Conrad Martin up into 8th place, second in class. And then we've got the likes of Pretorius a little bit further down. Joe Pretorius, who holds on to third place of our Pro-Ams at the moment, as the drivers looking to really put the hammer down. A couple of drivers yet to put a time on the board, such as for Fears, Lorero, Mutaleni, LaRue, Jean Rebuerta, Wentworth, and Johannes Kraling yet to get a time on the board to work out for them. Abschmeyer puts in the fast lap time, fires back with a 1:54.0 and stands above the top at the moment. Spa-Francorchamps going to be clawing to try and close up that distance, but I'm trying to take a look. I don't see our race 1 winner, Christoph Peterson, and it looks like he may have disconnected for some rhyme or reason. He's out of the running, which then just opens up the field to a whole lot more to come in. So Christoph Peterson, there he is out on circuit. Just went and missed him out there. Mike LaRue coming in, and welcome back to him, setting a 1:54.020, and take a look at that. absolutely nothing in it between Absmeyer and LaRue at the moment. Both drivers going and putting in a absolutely crazy time to go and stand at the top. And I've got to say, one of our closest runs at the moment this season. I think the closest we've seen is two drivers doing the exact same lap time, and that was done in last season. Jason Farmer was one of those drivers that got that side-by-side lap time. Jeffrey LaRue, a little bit further down, trying to close up the distance to Joe Bacum up ahead, as he did a 154.552. Needs to get into the 154.4s to join the rest of the top 7 and really try and close up the distance between them. Keegan Bowen still holds on to 3rd place and 1st in the Pro-Am. 6 minutes to go in our qualifying. Drivers trying desperately to get that little bit more pace. Herman Whitner currently 0.3 up on his time as he dives down towards the hairpin. It's going to be a tough, hard braking zone for him to get it done. But the 296 has always been really good on the anchors. And the Extreme Racing team have been really working on the car to make sure they can stand towards the top. And it is going to be a proper run for each and every one of our drivers to go at the moment. A couple of drivers still yet to get time on the board. William Wentworth and Janus Grayling to get time on the board. Kevin Pickery a little bit further back, going and having a bit of fun for the Toga Academy team. We saw him coming into play. Hansi Myberg back out on circuit. Good to see him there. And Jack Dodds as well. Rem van der Race just ahead of them. Christian Zetzman in 27th position, doing a bit of support as well. There we got Jeremiah Valathan looking to move forward in his AMG, hoping to put the pressure on to the rest of the field further up through the pack. So good so far. Christoph Peterson, a 153.7 sets fastest lap, came back on all cylinders to knock down LaRue and Absmeyer, forcing the likes of Absmeyer down to the 2nd row to line up against Keegan Bowen at the moment. But with 5 minutes remaining, can any of the drivers go and move up into the top 10? Can they fire back to go into the 153 mark like we've seen Christoph do? It is a possibility, but you're going to have to really dig deep. Heineke, 0.1 up on his time. Sean Lerero, 0.2 up on his time as he comes towards the final corner. Late on the brakes, 0.3 up. This is a good run for the Nissan GTR. Lerero giving it everything he's got, running it right to the wire and across the line up into 7th position. Jean-Ray Buerta also an improvement on his side, going and moving up through the field. Ricky in 11th place. Jeffrey LaRue trying everything he can, 0.1 up. Chris Beermister also out on circuit, 0.4 up on his personal best as he makes his way into the bottom hairpin and charging back up to the Schumacher S's. It's going to be a tough run for him though to get into the top 10 as he's a little bit further down and second last in the pro class. And he's hoping to really get that car dialed up and get it all the way to the sharp end of the field. 0.4 up on his time. Did a 155.0 as his best. Can he really go and dig that a little bit deeper to see where it works in? William Wentworth gets across the line for the team tryout, and he's able to do a 156 up into 35th position. Janus Grayling is the only driver out on circuit with no time on board. Is a Pro Division driver. Do want to point out Chris Beermister wasn't the second last. He is sitting 4th from the pack, the back of the pack for our pros at the moment. And Grayling's hoping to really dial up that little bit more, see where he can get in for the fight and how it's going to work out for him. But Keegan Bowen going to be starting on the 2nd row yet again. A good qualifying on his part and is really putting to test the new sim rig he's gone and won in a contest, and really seeing how it's going to hold up as well. Sean Lerero out in 8th position, hoping to move up 0.2 up on his time at 154.4, and he's up into 4th place ahead of Keegan Bowen and will be looking into the door of Mike LaRue into turn 1 at the moment. 2 minutes and 26 to go. Henry Platt further down the field than he would like from coming in 3rd place in round 1. He's hoping to really dial up the wick and get it a bit closer towards the sharp end of the field. Throws the big Bentley in, gets flat back onto the power. And is it going to be enough for Henry to move his way up into the top 5? He's 0.2 up. He's able to get into the top 10, into 9th, and keeps an eye towards the sharp end of the field. And how hard is it going to be to move forward? At the moment, Christoph Peterson, fastest through all sectors, in through the NGK chicane, and now into the final corner. Really slings it through. 0.3 up on his personal best, a 153.7, and he's going to stamp his authority a bit further as he comes across the line, a 153.612. Absolutely, really going and showing that he's stepped up the pace and wanting to put the pedal to the metal, showing the likes of Absmeyer, Mike LaRue, Bago Krupler, Sean Larrera, Keegan Bowen, Jason Farmer, Jeffrey LaRue, Henry Platt, Herman Webno, all into the top 10. Hey, I'm here. I'm able to bring those lap times down. You can do it in the final 1 minute. And at the moment, Platt pushing harder and harder is 0.3 up. Jeffrey LaRue, 0.1 up on his time. And he is absolutely in a chase here with Henry Platt just up the road from him. Both drivers trying to improve their lap times a little bit more. Really trying to get that little bit more towards the sharp end of the field here in qualifying. It's all about what you can do to stand at the front and how much gap you're going to have. However, LaRue losing out through the final corners. Ethan Lacuna up into 7th position. A great run on his part and falls right behind Keegan Bowen. But now it is Henry Platt in through the final corner. Reginald Muttolini spins out in front of him. Is it going to cost him time? Little bit of a tank slapper on the exit, but Henry Platt, 0.5 up on his time, does move up into 3rd place, forcing Mike LaRue down a little bit further. Jason Absmeyer, currently fastest out on circuit. Is this going to be enough to put him in pole position? He narrowly had it in round 1. Now can he do it for round 2? 0.1 up on his time, a 153.8. He needs to get it to a 153.6. He needs to go up by 0.2 to really get that little bit more of a run. Can he make it up through the NGK chicane? Mike LaRue is also up 0.1. So Mike LaRue firing back, Bago Krobler firing back, and all Absmeyer getting it a little bit out of shape through the NGK chicane. Gets his way around the final corner, flat onto the gas, and charging his way to the line. Is it going to be enough, though? Jason Absmeyer comes across with a 153.7, unable to go and dethrone Christoph Peterson in that pole position. Mike LaRue chasing down, 0.1 up on his time. Jonas Kraling, 0.4 up on his time. They are still out on the circuit, pushing a little bit more. LaRue, 0.2 up, he was 0.3 round the final corner. Can this Aston Martin find the grip to really hammer it through to get himself on the front row? And Mike LaRue crosses the line up into 3rd place. Couldn't quite get that ultimate run, but a 153.8 is nothing to sneeze about. So as our drivers coming up towards the line, all going and trying their absolute best tonight here in qualifying. There's absolutely nothing in it from our entire field, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do. So folks, we are in for a race indeed. Let's remind everyone of what happened in round 1. It was side-by-side Christoph Peterson and Jason Absmeyer that landed up with both cars landing into the dirt in turn 1. However, Christoph Peterson was able to pull his way back through the field to cross the line in 1st place. Unfortunately, Jason Absmeyer had a drive-through penalty he needed to serve as well, so that took him out of the top 10. He fought his way through. It was Henry Platt that got 3rd place with Bago Krubler in 2nd, and running into our Pro-Am side, it was Keegan Bowen who took the victory ahead of Ulrich Diago, and Benjamin Till chased him down till the very, very wire. So folks, lining up on the grid tonight, we are in for an absolute treat. And who is going to be standing at the top? That is the question. Who is going to be standing looking at victory? Who's going to have the jump off the line? Well, it's going to be a big, big run on them all. But it's an hour and 20 minutes of racing. Our drivers are going to have to think about their 2 mandatory pit stops they need to serve during the course of this race. To serve those pit stops, you have to sit in the pits, put at least 1 liter of fuel in the car, and back out. But, caveat, you have to line up directly in the box. If you're slightly out of it, your pit stop doesn't count. If you go and tow back to pits, your pit stop doesn't count. So the drivers need to keep that well in mind as they get ready for their race. You'll see them up on their jacks waiting for the timer to happen, and then they'll drop it down to the ground and get themselves going. The main thing to do is try and keep those tire warmers on just that little bit longer and see what's going to be the big run for them. It's all about warming up the brakes. It's all about warming up the tires. It's 28 degrees out on circuit, and drivers are in for a cloudy day, but still a bit on the warmer side of things. So, that being said, let's get ready to rock and roll for round 2 of the EG Evolved RaceFace.Pro ACC GT3 Championship Season 25, folks. And it's all come down to this as they take their way off the line. So, let's go and run through the field. It's Christoph Peterson, followed by Jason Absmeyer, Mike LaRue, Henry Platt, Begor Krobler, followed by Sean Loureiro, Keegan Bowen, Ethan Lacuna, Jason Farmer, Jeffrey LaRue will round out your top 10. Herman Whipner will be in 11th position with Jared McComb. Ricky Beckler a little bit further down. Jonas Grayling, followed by Jean-Ray Buerta, Johan Verveers, Ruben Heinecker, Chris Heinecker, Jakub Nadia, Conrad Martin, followed by Anton Lummers, Gerard Pretorius, Jack Darts, Jonathan Chrysler, Graham Kelly, Brian van der Race, Benjamin Till in 27th position, followed by Graham Scruton, along with Gary Duplessis, Reginald Muttalini, Ulrich Diaga, Jeremiah Vallathan, Christian Zetzman, Michael Berg, William Wentworth, along with Hansi Myberg, and rounding out our field, Kevin Pickery in 37th position. We had 38 qualifiers, however, unfortunately one disconnected team, so we're down to 37 cars that will be going through, and the rejoin after the disconnect is Chris Biermeister, who's unfortunately going to be starting from pit lane and has got a lot of hard work on his part to try and make his way through the field. So unfortunately for Chris, the Extreme Racing team, they will have to go and start that car from pit lane and work just a little bit more overtime to get him up through the field. So with that being said, folks, a big welcome to RaceFace.Pro and beautifully out circuit here at Nurburgring, but it's also wonderful to have you guys out on the virtual grandstands joining us here tonight, and it's wonderful to have like Productive Panda, Frosty, Amshamaya getting a bit of support as well from Alec Ilson, and we have got so many more. Dennis Buerta even going and saying how's it from the grandstand. So we've got a number of drivers getting a huge amount of support, and I know every single one of them do say thank you so much for that. But with Christoph Peterson in the front row, Absmeyer in second, and we have got the dreaded turn 1 here at Nurburgring, the Nurburgring Stricker circuit, the Stricker Grand Prix circuit is in for a world of fun. The question is, who's going to be able to get the jump off line, and who's going to be that little bit later on the brakes? As we know, heading into turn 1 here, Constantine is quite badly. You don't want to be on the outside, as you will get fouled up, but you don't want to be on the inside because there's no room to get on the power. So it becomes a little bit of a challenging situation had by all to really make their way through. We're going to keep an eye on the field though, and right the way through as it's going to be Peterson, Jason Abschmeyer. We're going to see if we can dot down as they make their way into turn 1 to keep an eye on any incidents that may happen. But it's all to the front row at the moment. It is going to be likes of Peterson and Abschmeyer lining up on the front row. And I can just see the motorbike of Alec Ilson that's just gone past. So good to see that he's trying to race the grid. And it's a drive-through immediately for Ruben Heineke being out of position. And that is going to foul him up. Mike LaRue trying everything he can. And now it's a launch down the wire as the entire field go late on the brakes. And it's a wild moment, a little bit of contact further back between Ruben Heineke, Chris Heineke, Herman Whitner getting moved off circuit, Jason Farmer getting a little bit caught as well. A number of drivers having a little bit of nose-to-tail moments. Oh, a big turnaround for Jason Abschmeyer and LaRue. Contact between the two of them as they rejoin into the field. Vega Hrobler takes the opportune moment to run through. Abschmeyer trying everything he can. It's got Sean Loureiro coming back at him, and it's going to be a proper run. Mike LaRue doing everything he can with Ethan Lacuna and Jason likes of Jared Beckham a little bit closer, but we have got problems for the 75. Ulrich de Jager and the 26 of Jeremiah Valenthin landing up into the wall. Ulrich de Jager looking like he is properly second hand, and unfortunately that is going to impact him. So the Griffin Sim Racing team not having the best of runs with a drive through, a break, and now just trying to see what they can do. Loureiro and Abschmeyer keeping nose to tail with Mike LaRue on the hunt. Oh, and a contact again. LaRue into the back of Loureiro, moves him right off the circuit. Loureiro trying to rejoin and immediately landing up in a world of hurts as he does rejoin safely. However, it becomes a little bit of a situation that is Mike under a lot of pressure. Is he starting to push a little too hard in the red mist coming in? Jared Beckham late on the brakes right behind Ethan Lacuna and right up to the inside. Jonas Kraling gets the overtake, done, dusted, and moves forward. Jared trying to figure out where he can go. And Jason Farmer onto the back of him, pushing that little bit harder. Number of pit stops coming in. Conrad Martin, John Ray Berta, Gerald Pretorius, along with Hansi Myberg, Ruben Heineke getting his pit stop done and dusted, as well as quite a few drivers opting to just get themselves that first pit stop out of the way, get the drive-through out of the way, and move forward nonetheless. Sean Loureiro pushing to get a little bit closer to Whitner, while Ricky Beckler, on the other hand, dives on the inside of Jan Verveers. Could not quite get past as yet, and is really going and pushing that little bit more. Verveers, lands up in the wall, turn around, and now trying to get himself going and back up to speed in front of the field with Christian Zetzman right behind him, keeping a very close eye. Heineke, Gerard Torres, Conrad Martin, Myberg, Ulrich de Jager rejoin the circuit after their pit stops and drive-throughs. Jason Farmer trying to improve as well, as he's right on the back of Jared Beckham, who keeps an eye on his teammate. Sean Loureiro up on the inside of Herman Whitner will be wanting to clear him as quick as he can. However, Herman moves across the nose, defends the position. Loureiro trying to get as much momentum as possible, as bringing Keegan Bowen with him. Keegan keeps a very close eye, not wanting to get too involved in the fight at the moment, as he holds on to first place ahead of Graham Kelly and Gavin Scruton at the moment, who run second and third in the Pro-Am division. Herman, however, has got everything to do to hold back Sean Loureiro, flashing his lights, saying, come on, give me that little bit of room, I need to get on by. But he's got to earn that position. He's got to try and pass fairly. They are racing for overall track position and class. There is no reason to jump out of the way. Farmer into pit lane, and it does look like Keegan following suit as well, trying to get that first stop out of the way and not lose too much time in the process. So, already crucial pit stops being made. Jason Farmer has pulled the stunt in round 1. Is it going to happen in round 2? That's a bit more of a better move. Sean Loureiro not able to get on past as yet. Continues to try and figure out where on earth he can close the distance, as we jump on board to the Nissan GTR, losing a little bit of time behind the Mercedes Arena, late on the anchors. a bit too late, try to go for a little bit of a lunge, however wasn't able to close up that distance sufficiently for corner exit. We'll have to wait just a little bit more. Kevin Pickery for the Toga Academy team. Pickery right on the back of Henry Platt, who was first out going and charging towards the sharp end of the field, but unfortunately he did dive into pit lane and is still needing to do another stop. Oh, big mistake for Pickery and into the wall. That is him down and out for now, and we'll have to just try and turn that car around and get himself back onto the circuit. It's all about keeping the momentum, keep moving forward and see what you can do, as we keep an eye on Jeremiah and Rayon, who are going and pushing that little bit more. It's going to be for the race up on the inside. The two Mercedes beautifully running side by side. Oh, never mind, the little bit of love tap on the end pretty much put that one to bed. As we get closer and closer to Valentine's Day, I don't think the love taps are necessary at this point or at this stage of the race. And each of the drivers trying to see where they go. Rachel Mutaleni behind Jack Darts, trying to get that little bit closer. Late under braking, couldn't quite get it done and dusted. Jack holding the apex, and Rachel Mutaleni going and murdering Kenny the Cone as he tried to go on the inside. Jeffrey LaRue into the pits. Yet another driver getting his pit stop done and dusted and waiting for his opportunity to carry on the momentum forward. 38 cars out on circuit. We did see Ulrich Diago with major damage to the car. I am pleased to report that he's still out there just keeping on going. So keep going, Ulrich, and let's see where it all turns out. You got to be in it to win it. You've got to see it through to the end. It's no point of throwing in the towel just yet. Beggar Frobler currently 1.5 seconds ahead of Jason Abschmeyer and continuing to open that gap a little bit more. However, Christoph Peterson absolutely leaving the field in the dust at the moment. Nearly 4 seconds up the road from Beggar Frobler and Jason Abschmeyer, who's 1.5 seconds off second place. So, I mean, this is just turning into a wild moment for Christoph Peterson to stretch open that gap a little bit further. And honestly, it is a home circuit for him as well. So last thing you want to do is have the South Africans knocking you off that podium. Lorero and Webner continue to push that a little bit more and see where they go. Kenny the Cone was innocent. He's always innocent. That's the problem. Far too innocent. Wasn't warned about the track safety. The stands on the curbs waiting. 10 points if you collect him. But Herman Webner not wanting to score less than 10 points at the moment. Has got Sean Lorera all over the back of them. These two have been battling tooth and nail at this point, fighting within the top 10. Lorera pushing Webner a little bit closer as we do see the fastest lap time. A 154.4 set by Christoph, who continues to open up that gap a little bit further, seeing how it's going to work out for him. And a number of our drivers still considering what they need to do. A little bit further up the road as we do see Henry Platt back into the pits. Did do his first initial stop, didn't count because he was slightly out the box, and now having to redo it all over again. And unfortunately this will count as 3 stops for him, going and throwing him down the field. Oh, Christian Zetzman very late on the brakes, nearly into Jonathan Chrislet. The two of them having a little bit of a scary moment between it, and could have ended up in tears. Thankfully, Christian Zetzman taking a quick reaction move to dodge out of the way from Jonathan Chrislet, compromise his exit, but it could have ended a hell of a lot worse. Anton Lummers trying to get a little bit of momentum behind Jaco Nadir at the moment, and Lummers hoping to really close up that distance to Jaco Nadir, who wants to really move forward. We've seen Jaco Nadir was able to carry a lot of pace in round 1, now needing to do it for round 2. He's a little far down through the field at the moment, has done his first pit stop and continues on his drive. So he's hoping to claw his way back up through the field. At the moment, Reginald Mutaleni, Noob Nation, and the Spannerworks Era 404, I think he changed his name on the daily at this point, is behind Jack Darts and just not able to close the distance at the moment. But right ahead of them, Kerry Duplessis of the Kramadoulis Racing and the likes of Gavin Scruton on the Team Tryon continue to keep within one another's toe and continue to push that a little bit more, not to count out Jonathan Christen and Christian Zetzman, who are also part of that train, looking and waiting for their time. A big run on the inside as we do see the 58 trying to move out of the way, not to get caught out at the moment. And it's a big run for Sean Herrera and Webber, hoping to clear and carry the momentum, but well done for the likes of Kevin Pickery, giving them that little bit of room. Oh, once again, contact between the two of them. No love there at all. Benjamin Till into the pits. Loureiro puts his nose forward and continues to charge on. And it's Herman who continues to run around the outside, hoping to carry the momentum. Oh, contact again. And Loureiro getting it out of shape. He's able to bring it back, but the frustration must be building up behind both drivers' helmets right now, as a quick flash on the lights coming in from Loureiro, telling Webber, hey, listen here, buddy. We are working together by going side by side like this. We've just brought Chris Heineke a little bit closer and able to go on the attack for us. We need to try and close up the distance. Zetzman up against Jonathan Christen as it stands. Both drivers continue on the charge, trying to close up to the rest of the pack. Narrowly out of it by just under a second. You can see how the Aston Martins close up and braking. Christian really making it work out. Unfortunately, coming out of the corner seems to be the Achilles heel. That corner exit is not helping him out at the moment. I'm trying to figure out where he can end up during this entire race. I do want to bring up a bit of a point to keep an eye on. Jason Farmer has completed his first pit stop. He's the bar to follow through this race and will be a driver that many will be looking for and seeing what's going to happen. Jeremiah, unfortunately, off into the dirt. Allowed Jason Farmer to clear on through, but Jason Farmer is now the bar that you're looking at. How much space have you got between yourself and Jason Farmer to get your first stop out of the way? We did see a couple of drivers in round one really push it late to see how it goes. Chris Biermester and Mike Nurburgring continue to push on. The Racing Snails dealing with Chris, who had to start from pit lane. Let me remind you on that one. After a disconnect, was able to reconnect, but now has got Michael Berg out in the big Bentley. Middle of the circuit, now defending his position every which way possible, hoping to once again close up that distance. It's a big look for Chris Biermester to try go around the outside. Michael Berg gives him that little bit of room and says, listen, buddy, you're in a different class to me. I need to keep consistent. You can keep your chase moving forward. Christian Zetzman, Jonathan Christen still battle on. They do go around the likes of Pickery. Mine's out of the way, lifts off the throttle just a little bit. Well done once again to the likes of Pickery. Track knowledge coming into play and just understanding he's in his own race. Doesn't need to focus on anyone else. Just got to keep circulating. It's helped him out in round one. Can he do it again here for round two at the Nurburgring Grand Prix Stricker for the EG Evolved ACC GT3 Championship, powered by RaceFace.Pro? But let's also take a look at who is running where as it stands. It's Christoph Peterson, Begor Krobler, and Jason Abschmeyer that currently hold on to the top three of our Pro division. For our Pro-Am, it is Graham Kelly along with Scruton, and following down it's Jack Darts, who is just been overtaken by Reginald Muttolini to take over that third place. So big run for them. Jason Abschmeyer now 1.3 seconds off the back of Begor Krobler and continuing to close the distance. Remember, Abschmeyer was close to Christoph come qualifying. However, unfortunately, the little bit of contact coming in from Mike LaRue landed up with him, swung back down through the field and having to claw his way back. So it hasn't been an easy run for him thus far, and now has to take on Begor Krobler. It's not going to make it any easier. Jean-Ray Buerta of Team Kerygma Racing, now sporting the green instead of the blue and silver that they used to run, has got the likes of Jeremiah just ahead of him. Ruben Heineke keeps in chase, seeing another green car, saying, listen, I've got to get round you. Jeremiah unfortunately went wide. Here comes Jean-Ray Buerta up on the inside, gets the pass done, and Jeremiah, who manages to catch the tank slapper coming out of the corner, has Ruben Heineke now drag racing him down towards turn one. Who's got the grunt? Who's late on the brakes? Is it going to be the Ferrari? Is it going to be the Mercedes? down into turn 1, and it does look like it's Ruud Heineke able to get the momentum, gets past Jeremiah, and now looks to continue his way back up through the field. Going fierce and Henry Platt running line astern at the moment, seeing where they can go and how far up the road they can push. Both drivers not looking to have any quick quits at the moment. They are looking to continue on. It's still a long race with only 14 minutes, now 15 minutes of the race completed. Still 1 hour and 4 minutes to go, and still plenty of time to really make up those positions. However, keep an eye out on a couple of drivers. Jason Farmer up to 23rd position is the bar that we're going to follow in terms of the pit stops later up, from 22nd all the way to 1st. And they're going to be keeping a very close eye on how his progress goes. Reginald Montalini going right onto the back of Ferry Duplessis, looking inside, outside, trying to see where he can go. It's going to be a tough run for it. And it is going to be a hard press for Duplessis to try and hold back. Reginald Montalini has got the run. We're starting to get reports that possibly Christian Zetzman going and landing up with on his last strike for track limits. We can't confirm it yet, but the brother Zetzman coming in, jumping in. It's good to see the family coming in, joining in. The two Zetzman brothers with their dad that usually watches. Is always good to see them out in the comments, and always wonderful to have you out there. William Wentworth now into the pits as well, so we keep an eye on the battle. Kerry Duplessis and Reginald Montalini continue to press on between one another and continue to see how it all turns in. But it is the 91 of Michael Berg. Got it wrong through Mercedes Arena and in towards the wall. Unfortunately, down to 20th position. Got himself going. The question is, how much damage to the car? But let's talk about a brawling duo, and that is Whitner and Loureiro. The two are still fighting it out. This time, Loureiro remembers what happened, and this time he's looking to get a little bit of elbows out. So the question is, Herman Whitner from Extreme Sim Racing, has he got enough in the tank to break the toe to the Griffin Sim Racing driver Sean Loureiro, who's got likes of Chris Heineke on his back, so he has got his teammate for a bit of support in case something goes on, if Chris can get that little bit closer. Back up, 14th, 15th, and 16th. It is Kerry Duplessis, Reginald Montalini, and Jack Dott running line astern. Ferrari leads out the McLarens at the moment, but it is going to be Reginald trying to take a look. Took a shallower line this time around and seeing if he can really make it on the brakes. Ooh, so close towards the rear of Duplessis. Montalini not leaving too much of the gap there, and unfortunately left a little bit too much gap for Jack Dott to have a look on towards him and see where he can try and close up a distance. Now Jack Dott in the slipstream, pulling himself along. Can he go for turn 1? A quick snap to the inside, and it's going to be a late on the brakes. So try and get it done. Jack down towards the inside, really puts the pressure onto Reginald on the nose and clears him past. So Jack Dott moves up into 15th position. Kerry Duplessis has got 0.8 of a second to get a little bit of breathing room, as we do get reports of Mike Berg, who is unfortunately into the pit lane a little bit too early for his liking, continuing on his run. Jason Farmer loses out to Rian van der Race as he tries to look around the Kramadolis racing machine and see where he can get a little bit more momentum. Runs out wide, dives towards the inside, a big look to get that nose forward on the Lexus, and it's going to be Rian van der Race not backing down. These two teams know each other all too well. They're going to lean on each other and continue to push. Bit of a snap on both, and immediately Keegan Bowen says, oh, thank you, I'm going to go for it. Big look on the inside for Farmer. Frustration now come in, and it's going to be Keegan that says, nope, I'm going to hold my line, keep on going, and pull Farmer along. If Farmer can go and keep within the toe of Keegan Bowen, can use him as a little bit of a wrecking ball to see if he can force a gap open. Graham van der Race, however, lead the pressure on. Ooh, Keegan leaned a bit of pull pressure onto the rear, killing the drive of van der Race, and here comes Farmer trying to take a look. No room for each of them, and they all trying their luck, with Farmer pushing himself a little bit too hard into the dirt. Needs to take a bit of a breather at the moment. Keegan Bowen leads out those that have done their first pit stop. But here comes the likes of Thunder Race to put the pressure back on. And Keegan going and leaning on him a little bit more. Trying to see if he can get that pass done and dusted down the drag race and go. And it is going to be Keegan just ahead. Gets right across the nose of Round Thunder Race, who's going to try come back under braking into the NGK chicane. Not able to get it done. Got to refocus now as he's got Jason Farmer on the back of him. Farmer looks for the inside line in through the final corner. Couldn't quite get it done. And we'll have to just wait it out that little bit longer to try and clear the GSR car. So the Chromadulas and the Griffin Sim Racing, two teams that know each other all too well, continue to battle on. Christian Zetman and Biermeister continue their fight with one another as it all looks to be reasonably calm at the sharp end of the field, except for Ricky Buckler and Jared McComb, two youngsters that are showing their might in the pro division. Ricky, very new to the world of Griffin Sim Racing team and to the sharp end of the field here at RaceFace.Pro in the pro division, and also with likes of our Jared McComb looking to really go and sharpen his skills to fight out against the veterans, including his own teammate further in line ahead. Reginald Mitellini, Jack Dodds once again, both of them venturing into the dirt, and that's allowed Jonathan Christopher to get a little bit closer. Jonathan biding his time with that Aston Martin, seeing both making mistakes at the moment, and where can he capitalize to try and get that pass done and dusted. It's going to be a tough fight indeed, with Jonathan Christopher now getting the momentum behind Reginald Mitellini, who will be looking on, trying to see where he can go, defends the outside line and wanting to do everything he can to get that run into the NGK chicane. Will look into the final corner, not wanting to look at his stream chat right now as he's got so much pressure on. He does get a little bit of a tank slap, but trying to get the drive on Jack Dodds, who had a very, very poor exit out of the final corner. And now Reginald Mitellini looks towards the inside line. Jack Dodds going to hold the racing line, see if he can sweep across the nose, side by side. Both McLarens push each other out wide. Jonathan Christopher gets the opportunity to close up yet again, but it is going to be Jack Dodds getting the better of the two, ahead of Reginald Mitellini, who dives to the inside line through the Mercedes arena. Now it's going to be a tough time for him to work it down the outside, flat on the gas, and immediately Jack Dodds leans back onto the nose, forcing Reginald a little bit onto the brakes. And now Jonathan closes up the rear. Reginald into the dirt, runs a bit wide, understeer. Chris Biermeister now on the tail of him, and that's brought likes of Christian Zetzman a bit closer into the fray as well. So it's turning into a monstrous fight up and down through the field, with everyone throwing hammer and tongs at the moment. Jason Farmer falling down the order yet again, down into 24th position. Farmer for the 369 car landing up with a bit of a problem. Let's quickly take a look at what happened to him, because he was all going well and now suddenly down from 21st to 24th. This is a look down the inside, and was there a bit of contact that led these two astray? And that was the initial contact. There's a second, there's a third, there's a fourth on both of them. It doesn't explain why Jason Farmer now down into 24th position behind John Ray Buerta and Heineke. Did he make a mistake and land up in the weeds? It's quite possible, actually, that was what's happened. Ricky and Jared continued their fight with one another, fighting in for 8th and 7th position. Both showing off a bit of great skill here, close racing and keeping it very on the nose of one another, and really getting close to one another without catching each other, which is always great to see, and some incredible racing from our drivers, pushing that a little bit harder, seeing what they can do. This is round 2 of the championship. The drivers are seeing what they can do to score as many points as possible to really stand at the top. Ruben Heineke having a look at Rian van der Race after seeing his teammate not having so much luck. Now it's time for Heineke to look around and see if he can clear on by, as we do see Jason Farmer back into the pits to get his final pit stop out of the way with 55 minutes to go. It's going to be an interesting call to see if that's going to move him up through the order. Heineke and Rian van der Race, two drivers that know each other all too well, have battled in the past, door to door, and especially around this circuit, have got quite a history with one another. Jonathan Crisset hoping to get away from Biermeister and Zetzman, right on his tail for Christian Zetzman. It's all about just keeping the momentum. Keep an eye on what these drivers are doing ahead of him, and where can he make up the time, especially if he's been flirting with those track limits a little bit more. Taking that extra bit of caution is definitely what's needed. Farmer has completed his final pit stop of the race, and it's the only driver thus far that has completed his final pit stop. Down to 37 cars. Unfortunately, we have got one retirement that has gone out of the race. That is unfortunate to see. Conrad Martin battling out with Jeremiah a little bit further back as well. Good to see these two still trucking along, giving it their absolute all, with Conrad Martin giving Jeremiah a little bit of a run for his money. Looked around the outside, no room to get it done. Runs out a bit wide and a little bit too uncomfortable there, and has to wait just that little bit more. Down for the race, losing out the drag race to the likes of Ruan Heineke, who has got a lot more momentum coming out of the NGK chicane and now into the final corner. Can he break that toe, however, to Rian van der Race, who continues to haunt him at the moment. Jean-Ray Buerta trying to close up the distance and see where he can get involved in the fight. Ethan Lacuna catching up to Jonas Grayling, who has been on a great run thus far and hoping to really move his way forward. Christoph Peterson, Begor Koblin, Jason Amschmeyer hold on to the top three, with Mike LaRue and Jonas Grayling into that top five for our Pro-Am. It's Graham Kelly, followed by Gavin Scruton, Jack Darts, Reginald Muttolini, and Jonathan Crislet that are holding on to the top five for the Pro-Am field. Each of the drivers looking to maximize their points here at the Nurburgring, and pushing that little bit harder with a bit of a track that's cooling down. Actually gone 2 degrees, as we do see a big mistake coming in from Reginald Muttolini, getting out of shape. And now Jonathan Crisset looking left, looking right, trying to spot where he could have got past. Unfortunately, no room for him to get round, and that has just opened him up for the likes of Chris Biermeister to come in, and Chris getting it into the dirt. Christian Zetzman gets in, and big mistake coming in for Biermeister. He does save it. Oh, just the slightest touches against the wall, but was so close to saving the car that just didn't want to go and cooperate with him. Whitner onto the back of Ricky Buckler, and now Sean Loureiro. Will there be communication up the road to Ricky saying, listen, we got to try and make this happen. We got to try and get the pass done. Herman once again defends it to the inside, forces Loureiro, who was committed to that inside line, back off and wait a little bit longer to see where exactly he ties into this. It's always a hard press situation to get past the competitors. However, Herman is making his car an absolute wide as possible to get it done. And Tiernas, it wasn't just a commentator's curse. That was the commentator's curse. You've got different levels. That was level 1. That was everything, unfortunately, for our extreme team. And oh man, I won't lie, a little piece of me just dies every time that does happen, where commentator's curse leans into it. But it's good to see the driver still out there, still going, and still has an opportunity to move back up through the order. Knowing how quick he was and where he was sitting, I don't think he's out of the running just as yet. So keep an eye on that car. It's going to be a great one. Kevin Whitner and Sean Loureiro continue on their fight. Closest duo between them, and seeing how it's going to work out between them. It's going to be a tough run for each of our drivers to move up through the order. We'll see where they go. Henry Platt getting ahead of Gerald Torres. The two of them keep their drive going. And we do have a bit of a problem for Hansi Myberg. Parked off into the dirt. Hansi Myberg into the dirt at turn 1, and it doesn't look like that car's going. Hansi Myberg has beached it in the sand and is falling down through the field as we do watch Not only our leaders come by, but Michael Berg, Jeremiah, all coming past. Next will be Kevin Pickery to go and get that overtake done. But Huntsy is parked and has mechanical problems, towed back to pits, and it looks like Huntsy Myberg may be a driver out of this race. And that would be a blow of note. And yes, it is. We can confirm he is another retirement out of the race. Oh, contact between Berta and Thunder Race into the NGK chicane. A bit of contact between the two of them and landed up in a world of hurt. Now let's quickly take a look from the helicam on that, because that was quite a moment for both cars that cost them an ample amount of time. So Thunder Race guarding the inside line will have their advantage into the left-hander. And unfortunately, it was Jean-Ray Berta who closed up on the nose of the Mercedes that went and took him out of the running a little bit more. So not quite the situation that he wanted. And unfortunately, going down the order now has Conrad Martin all over the back of him for the race, going slow. Now tries to get a little bit of momentum back for him, and it's immediately a quick look for Conrad Martin. And I wonder if Thunder Race actually slowed up to allow Berta to come on by, thinking that he was the one at fault during that. I'll leave that to the stewards, but it seems like the drivers have made the consensus on one another. Listen, I made the mistake there. I'll take my hats off on that one. It has cost him a bit of time, but if it's handled out on the track like that, I'm happy that it's not landing up in the steward's office any further, and it gets just a handshake and a see you back next time sort of drive. Duplessis and Scruton continue on their drive with one another. Another Crabdolis racing machine has got the likes of Team Tryhard Racing McLaren up the road. Gavin hoping to really get the drive out, gets a little bit of a tank slapper, pushing a little bit harder as he wants to try and move forward. Likes of Kerry Duplessis is a pro driver, so not a threat for class position. However, you do want to keep the momentum up, because Reginald Mutilini is trying to close that 4-second difference back up towards the likes of Gavin. And also, you don't want to back off with Graham Kelly currently leading out the field for the Pro-Am division. Closest into the fight, however, for our pros is Ricky Herman and Sean Loureiro running in tow. They got Jared McComb now in for a bit of company as well. These drivers have not done their first pit stop, and keep an eye on Keegan Bowen, who's down in 20th position at the moment. He's done his first pit stop, and Jason Farmer being one of the drivers that's completed all his pit stops for this race. So he's driving till the end and is pushing that little bit further. The question is, did Jason Farmer change tires? No, he did not. So Jason Farmer was in the box, fuel and go. And his first stop was just fuel and go. So interesting run coming in from Farmer, who has now got the same set of tires till the end of the race. And let's see if his pace can keep up with him for that duration as well. So taking a bit of a gambit here to see if it's going to work out in his favor by just shortening those pit stop times. The rest of the drivers, however, are really getting the grip out of these tires, utilizing every inch of rubber, every inch of circuit, and looking to really get the run up on one another. Jack Dots into the back of Jonathan Crisford, pushing as hard as he can to push that little bit further up the road. Can he make it work? Kerry Duplessis and Gavin also continuing on the charge, hard on the brakes, as we do see Duplessis looks for the inside, but just couldn't figure out a way past. If there wasn't an Onco barrier and a curb, he would have been trying a little bit further to see how it works in. Jonathan Christen into the pits, allows Jack Darts to gain a position. It will allow Chris Biermeister to also gain a position as well. Chris Biermeister, who started from pit lane, is continuing up the road, trying to push that a little bit further and see where exactly it's going to bring him out. Ulrich Diaga coming out of pit lane after doing his final stop does get out ahead of Kevin Pickery. Unfortunately, has a lot of work ahead of him for Jeremiah, Michael and Jason Farmer, who are further up the road. And Ulrich Diaga, part of that first incident that landed up smashing the nose off this BMW and had to get that repair work done in his first pit stop, now waits for an opportunity just to cycle through and find where he comes out. It's all about finishing positions here. It's all about where you come out, but also by just seeing it through to the end, you're going to be scoring a point as well. And that 1 point can be the make or break in your championship. Ricky trying to see if he can close up the distance to Jared at the moment. As they barge their way through. Still a great time indeed. Mike LaRue out of our top 5 pulls into the pits. A big move coming on his part, leaving Abschmeyer at bay. Dennis Frayling will keep an eye on it as well as Mike LaRue taking the first charge through the pits. And is he going to come out ahead of Keegan Bowen, who is currently leading out those that have done their first pit stop, down in 19th position, and will be the telltale whether it's worth getting into the box now or worth stretching the gap out a little bit further. Peterson at the moment, 6-second gap away from Bego Frobler, who runs in second place with Abschmeyer 3.1 seconds further back, trying to close up the distance, doing everything he can. Jonas Grayling hoping to make it work his way out. Ethan Lacuna, Jared Bakum, and Ricky Beckler now in for the charge. Sean Lorero and Herman Whitner are running in tow as well. Christian Zetterman clears Mike LaRue, who's come out ahead of Keegan Bowen. So this is a big move here to tell, because he's into 16th position after doing his first pit stop. It was a short fuel, 8.4 seconds in the box, and now trying to go that little bit further. Can he close the distance up? And this is a telltale sign that you can go and move forward. So it's going to be a tough one for our drivers to really move their way up through the order. Now, as we got the drivers making their way through, let's take a look at Conrad Martin closing up to Jean-Ray Buerta and see how he's going to try a little bit later onto the brakes through the Mercedes arena, just gently making his way around, not wanting to push it way too hard, but slowly but surely making up that little bit of ground to the likes of Jean-Ray Buerta, seeing where it can work out. Jeffrey LaRue, however, losing out a bit of time. He's got a fight on his hands with Ruben Heineke around his outside. Heineke switches back towards the inside, seeing if he can go for the pass on his own teammate. But LaRue looking a bit worse for wear at the moment. The Griffin Sim Racing team running a line astern. You can see how tricky it is. And through that complex can really go and cause a bit of pain. LaRue getting on the anchors, allowing Heineke to come through. The two of them pulling each other along at this point and utilizing a little bit more of a go. And it's side by side between the teammates as Chris Biermeister clears Jack Darts through the NGK chicane. Push that a little bit harder to see if he can make it work out. However, didn't quite work into his favor. Benjamin Till late on the brakes, seeing if he can close up to William Wedgeworth as we jump on the rear of William Wedgeworth, looking at Benjamin Till, trying to close that distance. Till, however, has got a lot of hard work on his hands to make it up the gap. Till runs out a bit wide. You can see how messy the exit was. That cost him a fair amount of time. William a little bit slower on the gears, trying to see whether he can just lift, coast, and brake a little bit later, and hoping for it all to work out in his favor. Trying a different approach here, saving a bit of fuel, and also seeing if he can have a bit more of a cautious approach in and out through the corners, hoping to move his way through the lot. So, Mike LaRue, at the moment, 1 second off Christian Zetterman, which will bring him into 14th position, and 7 seconds behind Reginald Mutileni, who's lying 13th up the road. And this is the telltale sign of whether a top 5 pit stop is on the cards when we get into the next 30 minutes of this race. And that is the one that's going to be the main key point here, because with 30 minutes to go, well, 41 minutes to go, and then we get to the 30-minute mark where we saw most of the drivers diving into the pits to do their double stop. We still got our top 14 drivers needing to do their first pit stop. Our top 3 in both classes still needing to do their pit stop. And as I say that, call me a liar. Herman Whitner into the pits. Graham Kelly dives into the pits. Kerry Duplessis dives into the pits. Reginald Mutileni will continue on the charge, so he will take over the lead and really, no, it will be Gavin Scruton who will be taking over the lead of the race for the Pro-Ams, and it will be Reginald into second place. Graham Kelly looking to react to the likes of Keegan Bowen, who is the first of the Pro-Ams at the moment that's done that first pit stop and continuing on. So, just as we were talking about those pit stops, it all changes, and it's Mike LaRue now fighting Christian Zetzman up for 11th position, with Chris Biermeister, Keegan Bowen all following suit behind. You can see Ruben Heineke a little bit further back, who is a back marker at this point, just keeping an eye on the fight. But for Mike LaRue, on his return back to the world of RaceFace.Pro, he's got a little bit of work on his hands here to try and clear. And for Zitzman, who holds on to 4th in class, there's no need to fight at the moment, as we do see Gavin Scruton coming out and going. Scruton unfortunately did land up into the weeds, so let's quickly take a look at what happened for him, as he was all going fine. Late on the brakes, you can see bleeds it off, slowly brings the throttle in, hard on the brakes, bleeds it off again, and just facing that understeer, oh, snap oversteer, saves it from the wall, and McLaren going and mowing down some of the grass, allows Reginald Muttolini to clear on by. Beautiful shot, I have to admit. And it's one thing about the sim that's rather impressive. You can see how the braking works for these drivers. You can see how hard they stab at the brakes and then bleed it off, and where they're feeding the throttle in. So just take a look down towards the pedals. This will be the good tell for you, as we see Frobler, Jared McComb and Lorero into the pits. You can see how quickly he comes off and slowly feathers the throttle through, and Gavin Scruton dives into pit lane. So, Bagel Frobler into the pits. Jared McComb joining his teammates, Sean Lorero, Chris Heineke, all pulling into the pits. Reginald Muttolini is going to continue on his charge, take over the lead for the Pro-Ams. Christoph Peterson, Jason Amsmeyer, and Johannes Freiling moves up into 3rd place. Ethan Lacuna up into 4th, 38 minutes to go. And now we're seeing those pit stops coming into play. And the question is, where do they come out to the rest of the field? LaRue up into 6th position, just as all have done their pit stops. LaRue, the telltale, big slide on his part, has got Ruben Heineke trying to see where he can clear on pass for Heineke. He does not want to be fouled up all too much at the moment, and does go and blast on by for LaRue. It's now just follow the momentum through, see where you can go, and not worry about the pressure behind, as he currently leads out the pack that have done their first pit stop. Jared McComb fighting out against Sean Lorero, who sweeps around the outside. It's going to be side by side between the two, and immediately Sean Lorero going to go late on the brakes around the outside through the Mercedes complex. Can he get it done? He runs a little too far wide, holds on to the inside through the right-hander. Can he get on the drive? Lorero cuts across the nose and is able to stop Jared McComb. A block pass to get it done and dusted. A well-timed move to get it sorted out, and that has brought Ricky a little bit closer to one another. So an absolute charge. Christoph Peterson in the pits, Johannes Freiling and Ethan Lacuna into the pits. It is Amsmeyer up into 1st place. Reginald Muttolini, is he going to go into the pits to try and get it done and dusted, or will continue on? He's going to go that little bit further up the road. Reginald Muttolini will take over 2nd in the race. Oh, and getting it sideways. I best change the camera before he falls off the circuit. But Mike LaRue now into the pits for his final pit stop. Keegan Bowen dives into the pits immediately following suit. So this is now an interesting call for both of our drivers in Pro and Pro-Am. They're looking to go and claw their way through the field. The question is, where is the rest of the pack? And I don't see Jason Farmer in any fighting distance at the moment. Farmer a bit far back in 24th position, only making his way up through the Schumacher S's now, is really having a tough time indeed. It's going to be hard braking for the NGK chicane to try and get it done and dusted later on, but he is miles back, with an earlier pit stop not working out in his favor. Henry Platt, Johannes Freiling keeping the pressure on one another, and Henry Platt not only going and racing in the world of Moscow Motorsports in that races with the BMW Car Club here in South Africa, he's also going and making some waves overseas in other leagues as well. So trying out his best run, and Henry hoping to get that little bit forward. Jason Abschmeyer into the pits to get his pit stop done and dusted. Will Reginald Muttolini, who would be the only driver left on circuit, needing to do his final pit stop, will he be able to get into the pits, or is he going to stretch out that gap a little bit further? Kralik and Platt keep the pressure on one another, moving through the field as they go. Christoph Peterson leads out those that have done their first pit stop, with Bagel Krobler, Janus Kralik and Henry Platt running line astern at the moment. But keep an eye on LaRue, down in 14th position at the moment. Will be keeping an eye on the rest. Sorry, he's in 17th position at the moment. Keeping an eye on him, as he will be the telltale sign whether that little earlier pit stop is going to come in and the undercut is going to be enough to march his way through the field. Ricky and Jared continue on their fight. Jason Abschmeyer, Janus Kralik and Henry Platt battle it out. It's going to be Ricky, dives for the inside line. Has he got the advantage through the right-hander? Now it's on him to the brakes. Jared McComb slots in behind and not putting the fight up just as yet. Going to concentrate on the corner exit, see if that's going to close the distance. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it done, and Ricky's able to open that distance a little bit further. So great run on their parts to push a little bit up the road. Seeing where it's all going to come into play. Wim Whitner up into 11th place as he does see the likes of Kralik and Platt into the pits, getting their pit stops done and dusted. Anton Lummers following suit into pit lane to get himself done. Kevin Scruton as well for the final pit stop. And I do want to report a lot of these drivers have already swapped over to a second set of tyres, which, well, we have seen Jason Farmer being the only driver that hasn't, and he is a little bit far behind the rest of the field, looking to try and close the distance back up through the front. So Keegan Bowen, who is currently second of those that have completed their pit stop, trying to chase down Mike LaRue, who is really trying to step up the pace further up the road, who's completed their pit stops. However, Henry Platt, Anton Lummers, Kevin Scruton all looking to try and move their way forward after their pit stops, and we will see the timing tower update jumping on board though, as we do see Jared now trying to close up the distance to Ricky, keeping a very close eye on Herman right behind, and Jared knowing that he needs to just try and keep it all together, holding on to the top 10 at the moment, and is continuing on his charge. Reginald Muttolini into the pits, Christoph Peterson into the pit. So good call coming in for Peterson to dive into pit lane, and is it going to work out in his favour? Abschmeyer retakes the lead of the race, with Peterson opting to get his pit stop done and dusted, hoping that's going to work out in his advantage. However, it's going to be a tough time. Jared, a little bit ahead of Herman Whitmer. You can see just trying to focus on the drive. Herman's got the run in for the inside, backed out of it though. Not enough space for him to get it done and dusted. Tightens up the corner and will have to wait that little bit longer yet again. Mike LaRue battles out against the likes of Graham Kelly. Kelly, who holds on to the lead of the Pro-Ams at the moment, as he waits to catch up to Reginald Muttolini, who is in pit lane. Here's Graham Kelly going to dive into the pits, not this time round, but we'll have Reginald Muttolini going to be exiting pits. This is a call for Reginald Muttolini. Can he get out of the pits before Graham Kelly gets into turn one? It's going to be a tough call. It's going to be a tough fight. Reginald Muttolini exits. He's now into turn one. He's got LaRue right behind him and Graham Kelly on his tail. Reginald Muttolini took the late call. He got the pit stop done and now needs to focus on the charge to open up that gap a little bit further for the Pro-Am side. Jack Dodds into third place. Christoph onto the back of Herman Whitner, now trying to see where he can go, with Herman now in the charge for Jared McCormick. Christoph has got no time to lose at the moment. He's gonna need to push a little bit more, a little bit harder to try and close up the distance to Jason Abschmeyer, Bago Krubler, who are deciding to run a little bit later into this race for their final pit stops, with the likes of Kralik and LaRue closing up the distance as well. So it's all now turning into who can keep going. Where can you make up the ground? It's not about getting into the box and getting yourself done. This is about how far are you willing to push. Jason Abschmeyer into the pits. And for the Panassi team, it's going to have to be a fast pit stop for them. Just a quick refuel and get him back out on the circuit for Abschmeyer. Down into third place. Here comes the train, however, as it is going to be Herman into the pits. He releases Christoph Peterson to go on by. Christoph flat on the gas, hoping to get that little bit closer to Jared McComb. Abschmeyer just rolling, is out of the pits. Abschmeyer is out of the pits, and here comes the train. Ricky going to be lining up around the outside, and it's going to be a bit of a close-off. And unfortunately for Abschmeyer, understeer comes into play. Ricky coming back at him. Jared McComb trying to have a look, and Christoph Peterson, who is caught behind both drivers, sitting with frustration at the moment as he sees Jared McComb trying to go around the outside of Ricky, who are fighting for class position as well. They are on a completely different strategy, but they are still fighting for position, and this is only going to play into the hands of Jason Abschmeyer to run that little bit further into this race to see where he can go and how far is he willing to get up through the field. Ricky now closing up at a rate of not. Jared all over the back of Ricky with Christoph really underneath that rear diffuser, pushing as hard as he can. It is an out-and-out fight, folks, right the way through. And we are in for a rather interesting situation because at the moment, Ricky is chasing down Jason Abschmeyer. His last lap time was 155.6 that he did. And the field up ahead, Bagel Krobler's last lap time was 154.4 with Ethan Lacuna, a 156. Sean Herrera, 155.3. Jason Abschmeyer, we will see on his next one. But Bagel Krobler setting the fastest lap time of the race yet again. Knows that he's got an opportune moment here to keep moving forward. Ethan Lacuna into the pits, and it's still a fight between Ricky, and it's going to be Jared snapping across the nose, trying to see where he can get past Ricky. He's not worrying about the mirrors. Contact between the two of them, and it's going to be Christoph up on the inside. Takes a dive past Jared, looks his way through, trying to see if he can get round the likes of Ricky. Gets clear of both drivers after they had that little bit of contact. And I do think Jared was trying to clear Ricky at the same time, provide a bit of support. Ricky defends the inside line into turn one, late on the brakes for both of them, nearly into the back of Christoph Peterson. And that was just a bleed off the brake and contact between the two. Ricky's able to save the car, and it's going to be Jared lifting off a little bit, allowing Ricky to, well, never mind, Ricky now need to try and make up that ground. So a little bit of contact between the two. I thought they were going to give a little bit of room to one another. Didn't quite work out to be that. Jack Darts loses out to Christian Zetzman now as Keen Bone leads out the field. Jack Darts going and trying to make up the ground as Christian Zetzman second place in the class with Jack Darts in third. Ferrer Pretorius holding on to fourth place with Reginald Muzzolini in fifth. The two of them have done their pit stops side by side between Farmer and Platt. Both drivers know each other oh so well, with Farmer up the inside, really running him out wide. Platt trying everything he can to fight back at the moment, charging his way through, but it is going to be Jason Farmer who loses out on that little brawl with the likes of Platt, able to get that little bit of motivation, to get that little bit more traction to continue on. So this has turned into a race through the field. Now I don't want to lose out on any drivers here because Benjamin Till and Michael Berg, we got to talk about these two as well because yes, it is 33rd and 34th position, but they are hammer and dogs. Oh, and a bit of a call coming in for Benjamin Till. Looked for pit lane, backed out of it, and well, losing out that bit of time just as we were about to talk about that battle. Unfortunately, it was not to be. Now, let's go on to a battle that is happening. It is Abschmeyer versus the likes of Christoph Peterson, with Christoph getting the drive down towards turn one. Abschmeyer stuck on the outside. Both of them brawling it out at the moment, and it's going to be the German to hold the inside line ahead of the South African. Abschmeyer try to go for the undercut. No room to get it done and dusted. Will have to sit behind Christoph that little bit more, trying to see where he can close up the distance between the two of them, and now needing to work that little bit more to close up to Sean Herrera, 8 seconds up the road. And I don't want to alarm anyone, but Sean Herrera is 27 seconds away from Bagel Krobler, who still needs to do his final stop of the race. Bego Krubler is going long and is hoping for it to work out in his favor. So a very, very interesting call coming in for the Team Wolf, as both drivers, Jerry McComb and Bego Krubler, yet to do their final stop. Ricky of the Griffin Sim Racing sits in 6th place with Kerry Duplessis trying to close down the distance between them at the moment. And it's going to be an interesting run down to the wire of who's going to be able to get that little bit more up through the field. Who's going to stay at the top. Gerald Pretorius, however, is a bit closer to Jack Tarts and Christian Zetzman. So as soon as those two get into the pits, he will take over second in the Pro-Am class and look to keep that going, as Reginald Mutalini's going to clear Jaco Nadir before he can get that done. And well, at the moment, Chris Heineke is 3 seconds off the back of Gerald Pretorius. Jaco Nadir is 4 seconds off the back of that, and Reginald 1.3 seconds further back. So it is going to be a late run for him to get it done. Mike LaRue, who was part of the earlier drivers to get their pit stops done and dusted and continue on the movement forward, however, is now waiting for his time to clear Jonas Freyling, who's fighting him out tooth and nail at this point, trying to see where it all works out. And I'm trying to find out where the likes of Jason Farmer is. He's in 15th position. Remember, Farmer was the first driver to clear all these pit stops and then get back out on the circuit. Unfortunately, didn't quite work out in his favor. He was fighting out for 21st, a mistake unfortunately threw him down to 24th, and is now just battled to pull his way through the field yet again. Let's quickly take a look at who's gained and who's lost the most here, because there is a lot to talk about during the course of this races. Well, Mike LaRue puts the send on the likes of Freyling, gets the pass done and dusted, going and helping him out a little bit. But for those that have lost the most, as we got 35 cars currently out on circuit, Kevin Pickery into the pits is unfortunately not able to get himself a little bit further up through the field, but is still circulating just in pit lane at the moment. The ones that have lost out the most positions is Ruud Heineke, lying on 12 positions lost since the start of the race. Started in 17th, down 12 positions, where Kerry Duplessis is the driver to be talking about at the moment, who is up into 7th position, has gained 23 positions. He started in 30th and now sits 7th at the moment. Trying to see where it's all going to work out for him. Bego Krubler and Sean Herrera up 4 positions from where they started. Christoph down to Jason Amschmeyer, down to, remember, they have done their pit stops and they're still sitting in that second row on the front. So they are pushing to try and close that distance between them. And it's still going to be a proper run. Jean-Ray Buerta, Anton Lammers, closest battle, currently out on circuit, trying to make up the difference between one another, with Lammers defensive as ever to hold back Buerta, who dives on the inside of him, says not going to happen, clears on through. Team Kerygma Racing taking no prisoners on that one and wanting to carry on the drive. Mike LaRue and Ethan Lacuna next to the drivers to duke it out, as Amschmeyer falling further back from Christoph Peterson, now 3 seconds back, and it is going to be the likes of Ethan Lacuna, who braked late and gave some easy room to the likes of Mike LaRue. Not too much of a fight there, and not quite sure if that's what the team would like to have seen happen. Would like to have seen that elbow out racing. Unfortunately, Ethan Lacuna a little bit later on the brakes, ran in that little bit deeper, and is now just giving that little bit of room to Mike to continue on his charge. Now sitting 2.5 seconds away from Kerry Duplessis, who still needs to pit, along with Ricky, along with Jared. They are drivers that still need to pit, and they are just sitting out of the top 4. And with the likes of Bego Krubler and Sean Herrera yet to get in the pits now. They go, sitting 28.8 seconds up the road from Herrera. In and out through the pits is 29.5 seconds for Bego's last time out. It is going to be all about a quick fuel and back out on the circuit. But can he get a victory here, taking away from Christoph Peterson? Or will he come out in front of Jason Amschmeyer? As we do see Jan van der Race dives into the pits, and he's getting his final pit stop done and dusted of the race. Ulrich Diaga up into 31st position behind William Wentworth, trying to close up the distance between them. And we've got the fighting duo back again. Benjamin Till now got Michael Berg, and right on the back of him, they've got Christoph Peterson, who dives on the inside. Benjamin Till gives him the room, says, there we go, buddy, not going to argue with you too much, and it's going to be Michael Berg as well. Moves over a little bit to just allow the likes of Christoph Peterson to close up the distance. Going to keep an eye on the mirrors. Is he going to be just as friendly? I know for Abschmeier's case, he's going to be hoping it's not that. And going to see, a little bit of an early break comes in. And Benjamin Till around the outside, capitalizing contact between Michael Berg and Benjamin Till. But a very, very good move between the two of them. And it was Michael Berg who got caught out, trying to be the gentleman, rolling out the red carpet. Benjamin Till, however, wanted to take the opportunity, tried his luck to get that pass done and dusted. However, not working out in his favor. Next up behind them is going to be Jason Abschmeier, who will look to try and get past these fighting duo, who are more than happy to give a lot of room for the rest of the field to close on by and concentrate on their fight right afterwards. They are in the Pro-Am class, but it's good to see that chivalry is not dead between drivers. Henry Platt all over the back of Herman Whitner, trying to see where he can get on by, immediately having one of the big Mercedes that is chasing him down. I think that is Anton. It's not Anton Mummers. Oh my heavens. I'm getting a McLaren and the Mercedes mixed up. That is absolutely wrong. I should be facing the wall for that sort of comment. But Henry Platt and Herman Whitner finding it out. It's going to be the big Bentley looking on the inside of the Ferrari, with Herman sweeping across the nose of Platt, making sure he is going and guarding that apex every which way possible, with Platt not afraid to put his nose in when he needs to, but is picking his fight right now and seeing where exactly can he make up the time. With 19 minutes to go, none of these drivers want to make any critical errors that's going to lose them time. They want to focus on just keeping the momentum and keep moving forward. Mike LaRue now closing up to Harry Duplessis. Ricky into the pits, getting his final pit stop done and dusted. And it's going to be Harry that decides he's not going to go into pit lane and will continue on the charge as well. So Jared Beckham and Harry Duplessis continue on their charge up through the field. Chris Biermeister has yet to do his final pit stop. Christian Zetzman, who sits second in the Pro-Am, needs to do his pit stop, and he's got Gerald Torres running third that has done his pit stop. Jack Darts runs in fourth place as it stands. And a little bit further down, Richard Mutalini just out of fighting chance of it. King Bowen has definitely opened up the run and continues on his momentum. Henry Platt looks for the undercut, trying to make it work into turn one, takes a dive, crosses over the nose, and defends against Herman Whitner, stopping dead on the apex, knocking Herman off cam at the moment. And now Herman tried his luck for the inside, couldn't quite make it stick, has to wait it out, taking a lot of curb on the way through, trying to see if he can really hunt on by, but really working those tires a bit harder, and it's going to be taking some serious life out of it. Bego Krubler into the pits. Now this is the call, whether Christoph Peterson is close enough to retake the lead of the race from Bego Krubler, who has gone into the pits. Loureiro is going to be next, whether he's going into the pits or not. Is he going to go that little bit further into the race to try and stretch open the gap? And he will be going a little bit further into this race. Peterson comes on by through the NGK chicane, now around the final corner, flat onto the throttle. Mike LaRue and Duplessis having a little bit of contact between the two of them. They still need to get into the pits. Bego Krubler flat on the gas, a bit of a burnout on the way through. Loureiro comes on by. Bego getting out of the pits. There is the Kramandulis racing machine of Thunder Race, and right behind him is Christoph Peterson. Closed up the gap, but Bego Krubler, who ran that distance, who ran the gambit to pit that little bit later, has now got the lead of everyone that has done their pit stop and has got the likes of Thunder Race as a defensive blocker ahead of Christoph Peterson. Will it be enough? Loureiro still yet to get into the box. Will be the next one to keep a very close eye on the field. Keegan Bowen looks on the inside of Chris Biermeister. Can't quite get the pass done into turn one. And this has all gone awry as Jared Beckham still needs to pit. Jason Amschmeier will move up into third if he is close enough He is 7 seconds off the back of Christoph Peterson. Sean Loureiro is 3 seconds off the back of, ahead of Bager Krobler. So, I mean, this is turning into a wild, wild race. Gerard Pretorius trying to look to get past Ricky Beckler at the moment. Ricky just continues on the momentum. Gerard Pretorius, who currently holds on to second in his class, doesn't have to push, but will get notes from Keegan Bowen, who is fighting it out at the moment. Keegan is fighting for overall position, not for class position. For Gerard, he's going to be hoping and waiting for a mistake to come on by. Keegan looks on the inside, can't get the drive on Chris Biermester as yet, and still focusing on his charge. Reginald Mutuleni onto the back of Yaku Nadir, trying to move his way forward and see if he can close the distance between them. So it is turning into a fight, a last minute brawl right the way through for drivers. Henry Platt, however, loses out to Herman Wepner, landed up in the dirt. Herman gets on by and stretches open the gap. We are starting to see drivers making mistakes, critical errors starting to brew over, and now drivers starting to feel that red mist closing down on them at a rate of knots. And who is going to be the one to cope with the pressure, to keep marching their way forward, or are they going to land up in a world of hurt at the moment? Keegan Bowen currently holding on behind Chris Biermester, looks on, waiting for his opportune moment to keep going. Sean Loureiro yet to do his final pit stop, clearing through the field, and now wanting to keep Bager Krobler at bay 2 seconds, with the likes of Peterson 1.8 seconds and Jason Absmeyer lying 9 seconds down the road from Christoph Peterson. Is it going to be enough to try and get past Sean Loureiro when he pulls into the box eventually? Zitzman dives into the box for his final pit stop. Will be dropping out of the top 3 for the Pro-Am division. Ethan Lecuna finding out with Jonas Grayling, the Raven West GT, trying everything possible to look left, right and center on the Pandacity machine. The Raven looking to swoop in on the Panda, but is it going to be the Panda to go and fight it out, holding on to 8th place? It's got to be all about keeping the drivers bamboozled at this point. And yes, I did use that line. And now we're going to see whether it claws out for the Ravens to try and snag that 8th place away. And just 4.4 seconds up the road is Harry Duplessis that will be pulling into the pits as well. So for the likes of Grayling, this is good going for him if he can keep the momentum and keep moving forward. But he's got to keep that drive. Platt and Webner once again fighting it out, with Platt switching left to right, trying to see whether he can just bait a move at the moment from Webner, who made his car extremely wide down the center line and keeping on going. Jean-Ray Buerta with Kevin Scruton continuing on the charge. Graham Kelly having a go at Anton Lummers as they fight their way through. And Conrad Martin up on the inside through the hairpin. It was a little too late braking for Graham Kelly, and Conrad Martin clearing on by. But take a look at the distance between the two of them. It's nothing. Kelly hits the anchors, and that causes a bit of a bottle up for Heineke and Jonathan Christert as they go side by side. Heineke's going to try and have the advantage into the left hand, and it's going to be Jonathan keeping pressure on him. Very, very close racing between them, with Johnson just eking out ahead and closes off that apex away from Heineke. Ethan Lacuna leaving pit lane is now into the top 10, and got to keep an eye as Herman Webner is going to be closing up at a rate of knots on him. And Herman Webner now gets on through. Sorry, Ethan did not get into the pit lane there, and is unfortunately off into the weeds, and now just trying to get himself going. Gerard Pretorius and Ricky finding it out. The Griffith Sim Racing team brawling it out, and I wonder if there's any team rules here, any team discussion coming in from Gerard and Ricky, who are fighting out for overall position. 2 different classes, however, and that can change the whole nature of the race. Lummers and Martin fight it out. 2 former teammates continue to fight it out on circuit, having a ton of fun out there. Jonathan Christopher, Graham Kelly and Ruan Heineke push a little bit harder. Chris Biermester still coming out of pit lane 3 times through the pits. Unfortunately, started from pit lane and continues on his drive. Christian Zetzman stops in the box for his final stop, and that unfortunately was because he wasn't lined up in the box and that took him out of the running even further during the course of it. So a tough race indeed for Zetzman, who at one stage of the game was in the top 3 in the Pro-Ams. Kerry Duplessis into the pits for his final stop. That is going to be good news for Frayling, Bowen and Wepner at the moment, who are closing up at a rate of 9. Henry Platt will be more than happy as well to get a bit of breathing room. Jared Coombe and Sean Lamero will be the only drivers left on circuit to do their final pit stops to see where it works out. Oh, and contact between the teammates. Contact between the teammates. Ricky and Gerard going and catching each other through the NGK chicane. That turned into a bit of a horrific situation for the both of them, and they're able to keep going. But for Gerard, he's got to be so careful, as that slowly brings the likes of Reginald Mutaleni back into contention to try and take away that second place. And not too far is Gavin Scruton, as we do see Wepner getting out of shape. Immediately Platt trying to go back on the attack. The two of them leaning on one another, left, right and center. Platt going to go around the outside. He's going to work a bit hard here to make it all come to be. It's going to be the Ferrari 296 of Wepner, who's now stuck on the outside through the right-hander. Looks for the undercut. Couldn't quite get the drive on him. And now continues on. A quick flash of lights between the two. Show of respect from possible contact that we might have missed on camera. Gavin and Jean-Ray Buerta continue on, but we are getting reports that Conrad Martin into the weeds. The 163 landing up in a world of hurt. Let's quickly take a look at what happened here. Trying to take the look on the inside. Late break. Gets it all the way through, and now all of a sudden having a bit of a problem to get the drive. Tries to get back and contact against Lummers. Spun out, and now to have the 3 come barreling past him as well. So Conrad Martin, who was fighting out with Anton Lummers, unfortunately too late on the brakes, visiting the door, and that has thrown him further down. Sean Loureiro coming through the pits. Mike LaRue up into 5th. Jared McComb now into 4th place, and he's on the back of Jason Abschmeyer. Abschmeyer in for a world of problems right here, because if Jared gets ahead of him, he can cause a little bit of a blockade to try and hold Abschmeyer a little bit further back from Christoph Peterson and Bego Krobler, who have launched their way up through the field. Christoph now 13 seconds away from Abschmeyer, 2 seconds off the back of Bego Krobler, as we do see Ulrich de Jager still going in shot. Good to see Ulrich carrying on the momentum. And it's a Griffith Sim Racing team yet again having a go at one another. Gerald Pretorius on Ricky, takes a dive on the inside. The two of them brawl it out, and both continue on that little bit of momentum. Swings around the outside. Can he keep it through the Mercedes arena? Ricky's got the advantage, but now it's going to be hard on the brakes for the likes of Gerard Pretorius to try and do everything he can. Chris Heineke nearly involved into the fight as well, and Chris Heineke going and battling it through. So Griffin Sim Racing 13, 14 and 15, who are running line astern. 2 pro drivers who are fighting for overall class position, and will fight for overall and class position, and Gerald Pretorius, who's got his own in 2nd for his class, got no pressure from the rest, but is fighting for overall position and can land up having a world of hurt right now if he gets caught out by his teammates. Buerta into the weeds. Buerta turned round, loses out position after position as he tries to rejoin the field. Buerta not having the race he wanted in the last 7 minutes. Team Kerygma Racing getting out of shape. Let's go to our helmet cam of Jean-Ray Buerta. A little too far over to the right-hand side, has a snap, trying to save it on the dirt, and just that was all she wrote. A little too far to the right, cost him time, and that unfortunately put him down the order, now having to fight his way back through the field. Chris Heineke having a look at Ricky, as it does look like Gerald Pretorius managing to clear on by. Jared Bakum is into the pits. That releases Abschmeyer a little bit to breathe just that little bit more, and it is a stop-go 30-second for Jared Bakum for speeding in pit lane. Jared Bakum will have to serve a stop-go 30-second with 6 minutes and 12 seconds left in the race. little too early off the button has cost him time. Rachel Muttolini clears on past the likes of Jaco Nadir. Next up the road is Harry Duplessis. He's got to try and clear these drivers a little by little. And Chris Heineke and Ricky are further up the road, who will play a little bit of defense for Gerard Pretorius, who holds on to second in class for the Pro-Am field. Gavin Scruton trying everything he can to also clear Jaco Nadir at this point, but needs a lot of work to do so. Graham Kelly, along with Jonathan Christen and Ruan Heineke, brawling it out amongst one another. These three drivers having a ton of fun out there. Heineke, who is in the Pro Division, just wants to keep his drive, keep on going, but at the same time is having a wonderful go at one another. Christian Zetzman looks up on the inside of Michael Berg. The Racing Snails doing everything they can to try and defend. Zetzman gets on by, but can he keep it all together? Oh, a little bit flirting with track limits there, in towards the dirt. Swings it back. Can he save the rear? And is able just to bring the Aston back into check, and immediately has Michael Berg on the back of him. Henry Platt watching these two fighting it out for position. Will be hoping to get a clear pass in the next 4 minutes. However, Zetzman, after a mighty save in front of Michael Berg, who was just hoping for the rear just to kick out that little bit further, will keep a close eye. Rachel Muttolini now has got Jaco Nadir all over the back of him. He's got Harry Duplessis, Jared McComb into the pit lane, and now Jaco try to look for the inside, backed out of it, allows Rachel a little bit further, gonna get right into the rear of him and see whether he can close the distance between them. It is all unfolding here in for the last couple of laps, folks, and it's going absolutely wild for round 2, the EG Evolved ACC GT3 Championship, powered by RaceFace.Pro, and it's all turning into a mixture. It's a mixed match. It's a battle of note. And for the lead, it is 1.8 seconds with Christoph Peterson going and really hammering track limits at the moment. Will it be enough to close up to Bego Krobler? The question is, can he flirt with track limits anymore? Otherwise, he will have to settle for second place after starting on the podium. Bego Krobler took the late gamble to go that little bit more, to really see it through. Kevin Pickery minding out of the way yet again. Good to see him still out on circuit, having a great bit of fun out there. But will be the next one for Bego Krobler to try and clear on by as fast as possible. And we do see Jared McComb, who's just out in front of Bego Krobler. The two of them are going to be really talking. It does look like not only did the Porsche move right out the way, he sent himself into the shadow realm to avoid Bego Krobler, and Christoph Peterson got caught up just a fraction behind, not too bad, but was able to just get held back enough at the moment to break that gap to 1.8, which is now cut down to 1.5. Rachel Muttolini on Harry Duplessis has got an opportunity to go for second, as he's got to really fight his way through at the moment. He has got an uphill battle. Not only does he need to clear the pros ahead of him, but he needs to get past two teammates as well to Gerard Pretorius to be able to get even remotely close to Gerard Pretorius. So this is going to be a monster run, and he can see him just within arm's reach as well. Second place is on the cusp for Reginald Muttolini. For Gerard Pretorius, he's got Reginald in the rearview mirror, but he knows he's got that backup. He knows he's got that little bit of assistance, that if he calls on the mic and says, listen guys, make life difficult, you're fighting for overall track position, he will be utilizing that as Chris Heineke runs out wide. Ruan Heineke having a go at Jonathan Christen. It is just madness after madness after madness through the field, and every single one of these drivers now giving it everything they can. And our leader now onto the final lap. Bego Krobler, Christoph Peterson, 1.8 seconds separating the two. Absmeyer holds on to third, but can Peterson really pull a rabbit out of the hat here? Can he close up the difference? Can he get ahead of the South African? Or will he sit in second place on home soil and will have to look forward to the next round to get the leg up on Bego Krobler? Bego, who got second place in round 1, now looking for a victory in round 2 to match points with Christoph Peterson. Is going to be down to the wire between the two of them, and it's going to be all about critical runs. Reginald Muteleni and Thierry Duplessis continue that one, sitting 0.3 between one another. Ruben Heineke side by side with Jonathan Chrysler, clears on by and gets the corner just right. It is all contact. Big mistake coming in. Reginald and Duplessis crossing swords, with Duplessis losing out to the likes of Reginald Muteleni, and will be back on circuit with Gavin Scruton right up his rear, looking to close the distance between them. It was an outbreaking maneuver into the NGK chicane and costing a lot of time. And for Reginald, if that goes to the steward's office and gets deemed as contact, he would lose not only that running in overall, but he would lose third place. A critical error on the last lap, but now down to the wire. Vegard Krobler, 1.3 seconds, hard on the brakes. Conrad Martin minds out of the way. Vegard Krobler has got the momentum. Vegard Krobler of Team Wolf going and matching points, taking the victory in Germany, with Christoph Peterson in second place. Abschmeyer will take over third in the race and will continue on the drive to move his way back through the order. Unfortunately, 19 seconds off the run of Christoph Peterson this time round. Back to the drawing board, but is still on the podium for the Pro Division. And it is going to be a great smile on the face, because it's a back-to-back win. Keegan Bowen has not lost, whether it's on the Thursday getting victory in Pro-Am, Friday winning a full aluminum sim rig, and now a victory at Nurburgring. He is going to be absolutely happy with that one. Gerald Pretorius will be coming up towards the line now, keeping it all together. Jason Farmer just up the road of him. It is a Griffin Sim Racing 11, 12, 13, 14 that will see it through to the line. Reginald Muteleni loses out the momentum and is waiting out. Reginald is slow. He allows Thierry Duplessis to retake the position, but Reginald Muteleni now in the clutches of Gavin Scruton. He's just got enough to do it, but it is going to be Reginald in third place, Gerald in second, Keegan Bowen in first. What a race, folks. What it is down to the wire. And it's not done yet, because Anton Lummers, Jonathan Chrysler, they're going to fight it through the final corner, and it will be Anton Lummers to get the better of Jonathan as they come across. What a drive from the entirety of the field. Drama in the immortal words of Walker. Wow, oh wow, folks. What a race. What did we just witness? Well, I could tell you, we witnessed history. We witnessed incredible racing. We witnessed highs, lows, thrills, spills, dramas of highs and lows, and everyone looking to take their way to the top. That being said, Keegan Bowen going and beating out Gerald Pretorius, with likes of Reginald Muteleni taking third place at the end of the race for our Pro-Am. It was Vegard Krobler who took the victory this time round, with Christoph Peterson in second place and Abschmeyer taking third on the run. So, some great racing out there. Lots of work coming in for the drivers to really hit the drawing board, see where they can take their advantage, and where exactly can they gain for round 3 coming up next week. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. And with our highlights on, and we keep an eye on some incredible racing, reliving some of the start of the race, we're going to see if we can have a chat to our winners in both the Pro-Am and the Pro Division here at RaceFace.Pro. And as the drivers will be climbing out of the rig, taking a deep sigh of relief, we are keeping an eye on Vegard Krobler after his start of the race. And we did see a bit of contact between LaRue and Abschmeyer that turned the whole race in his favor. He did get caught in the concertina moment, did have Sean Loureiro come at him, and they had to both try and figure out what is the advantage as they continue on. That was the first of the turns between them, and Absmeyer had to work incredibly hard. However, it just turned into a nightmare case scenario for Bego Krobler. It was all about running it late, running it as far into the field as possible to ensure that he locks in for that victory. And coming into the box now, Christoph Peterson taking second place for the Logistical Nightmare Racing team. Christoph, welcome to the commentary box. What a race out there. First of all, a stellar run in qualifying on home soil. How are you feeling with that qualifying?
The qualifying, like, I was praying in the last lap because I messed up the last corner. It could have been a lot better lap than that. My quali pace was, like, I was really happy with that, but the rest was lacking a little bit today.
Now take us through that race, because it was a mountain to climb, because not only did you charge your way to the front and open up the gap, but everyone deciding to pit a lot later than you forced you further back through the field and having to fight your way through a good couple of fights as well.
Yeah, I gambled on the wrong thing pretty much. I should have stayed in control of the race. Because I kind of wanted to avoid fighting Absmeyer, because at this track it's super difficult to overtake. Yeah, so I tried to just immediately pit and hope that I'm not coming out in traffic, because without a race engineer it's like super difficult to judge if you're coming out in traffic or not. So I kind of took the risk and it didn't pay off. And then in the second stint also Bego was just faster than me altogether. Like, I don't know if I maybe could have snatched the fastest lap in the first few laps of the second stint if there wouldn't have been so much traffic. But he outdrove me today, like 100%. I was getting super tired also in the later stages of the race. Like, my arms were getting tired because this Mercedes is really a handful around this track.
Well, with that being said, you're tied in points heading into round 3. What's the game plan to take on Bego Krobler? And seeing that Absmeyer is still there, lurking in the wings, hunting you down.
I think he's like 2 points ahead because he took 2 fastest laps and I didn't take any. Yeah, I mean, the game plan is the same as always, like, try to win races. Laguna Seca is, I think, the next track, which is really good because ERA is also running Laguna Seca in that week, so I don't have to split my practice up. And the car will be a lot easier to drive. I think what kind of like messed up my race pace today was that I'm really struggling with front graining on this track. I had the same in the Honda, so I think I'm kind of overdoing the front in the race. But it's good to like see that it's not a problem of the Honda, but that it's a problem of me, because then I can try to adapt and try to like improve my driving when we hit this track the next time.
Well,
and yeah, I think at Laguna it will be a lot better.
Well, it's going to be an interesting one, and just to correct you over here, there is no point for fastest lap time, so you are going to be squared on
they
points.
Changed that. Last season they still gave like 2 points. That's where I was thinking.
Not this time round. So you are squared in points heading into round 3 with Bego Krobler. So it's all on the cards, Christoph. You've got the practice in. Now it's time to go and fight the wolf and also keep the panda at bay. But Christoph, before I let you go to enjoy and get a little bit of a breathe after a hard-fought fight, anything you want to say to anyone in the background, to the drivers and teams out on circuit, and most importantly, to our legendary virtual grandstand who have been cheering in and day out?
I think I want to like thank the drivers today, because there was a lot of traffic, like full of traffic the whole track in qualifying and the race. Got caught in a lot, so but there was a lot of respect on the track. Everyone tried to do their best in like letting me through when they were blue flagged, or just pulling out when we were side by side and stuff. Like that was good. So thanks everyone for keeping it clean, and also congrats to Bego. You gave me a good fight. Let's hope the next one will be cool again.
Well, it's going to be a great one. Christoph Peterson taking second place in the Pro Division and overall tonight. Now, we're going to leave our leaders for last, because that is going to be one that I do want to bring in a little bit later, but we're going to bring in third place of our Pro-Am division to come and have a chat to us. That's Reginald Muttolini. Reginald, welcome to the commentary box. And wow, oh wow, what a race that you had. Some highs, some lows, some thrills and spills, and last lap drama just to add on to it. I'm sure you're feeling a bit tired after that one.
Oh, Stephen. Oh, that was actually, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I discovered something new on the last stint. I discovered that I can go a little bit faster than I generally thought I could. And yeah, there was a lot of drama that happened. I shall not mention it, and I'm sorry for for my murderous intent that I didn't mean to do. But yeah, to be honest with you, this race was actually, wow, it actually got me amped up. After the previous race we had, I didn't feel like I was up to scratch as much, but actually mid-race, I actually started feeling the mojo coming through and just really starting to really enjoy it. A lot of side-by-side with, I forgot his name, it's Jay something, or Jay Dart, yes. Yeah, that guy is Minister of Defense and Pro-Am. He made it really tricky for me to get around to him. But yeah, no, other than that, just see. It was a really nice race. And this third place is unexpected. I thought I was in fourth place.
Well, it was still a great run for you. Now, I gotta ask the question because life got interesting, full stop, in a battle. Game plan, heading into Laguna Seca, a lot tighter of a circuit. You now scored some more points for the championship. You were running 6th in the championship. Coming into this race, game plan, heading at Laguna Seca, because this is going out not only on our stream here, but on your own stream. So it's saved, and you have to really address your fans on this one.
Well, the game plan for Laguna Seca is try to take over the world as I usually do. So essentially Laguna Seca, well, I'm just going to lay it down there. This is my strats as always. I always do the same thing over and over again there. Is Laguna Seca, start off, if first lap has incidents, as in like if there's a bit of a argy-bargy that happens, straight to the pits. If there aren't any incidents, go long as you can to find a good spot to actually come out of, because that's what really counts, you know. So that's how it is. But also mid-race, if you're finding yourself a little bit, if you didn't use the first splash and dash to say, I call it the splash and dash pit. If you didn't use that first splash and dash, and you're finding yourself stuck in a bit of a train, splash and dash it just to get out of that train. If you know you got the pace, just get out of that train, go for it. I mean, in this race here, I think I should have came out of the train, but I was starting to really enjoy the actual racing that I actually thought, you know what, I'm going to stay out because this is actually more enjoyable than hot lapping on my own out there in the wilderness with everybody else. But yeah, that's my view, and that's how I've always done Laguna Seca. So the guys can take it or leave it. It's out there. It's on the platter, golden platter, I must say. Or should I say platinum? Is that, which one is better, gold or platinum?
I would say platinum costs more and is a bit heavier. But Gerald Pretorius got the better of you this time round. Last race, he got the better of you. Are you planning to get ahead of him in Laguna Seca?
That is a track that I know I'm a bit quicker in. The last two tracks, obviously including today's track, no, I'm not. I don't have a really strong pace in it, but next week's track should be an interesting one. I don't know how good he is on that one, but I should be a whole lot quicker. And kudos to Keegan, being all the way up there with the pro guys. Super insane pace for him. But yeah, GG's for him. Yeah, let's hope he can keep it together. You know, I trust he can. But we're coming for him.
There we go. I love to hear it, Reg. Before I let you go and address your fans and do the close off that you need to do from your side, but anything you want to say to everyone in the background here, to the drivers and teams out on the circuit tonight that just put on a stellar performance, and to all the race fans on the virtual grandstands, I'm sure you are seeing, cheering on, going wild, and just on the edges of their seat, lap after lap.
Yeah, look, thanks for the awesome support from our awesome crowd on the grandstands. We love you guys, and thanks for the awesome support and the guys on my stream. And a huge, huge, huge thank you to all the drivers out there who actually make this actually possible. You know, without the drivers, we can't have such beautiful racing, and it's great to have such numbers, to be honest with you. And lastly, thank you very much for the sponsors who actually solidify and give us that big hope to say, you know what, it's not just racing only. There's always that one little inch further that you can push a little bit harder to get the big prize of being, you know, top of RaceFace Pro. So yeah, thanks to everybody else and the admins. You guys have been fantastic.
Oh, absolutely wonderful to hear from Reginald Nutelenia. Man after my own heart at this point. We're getting so close to Valentine's Day. Huh. But that being said, unfortunately we did have Gerard Pretorius, but he had to leave. So Gerard Pretorius, who did take second place at the Pro-Am, congratulations to him. All the Griffin Sim Racing team, stellar run on his part. But that being said, let's go into our winners of each of the classes, bringing in our winner of the Pro-Am, Keegan Bowen, who I don't think this man can lose right now. Keegan, welcome to the commentary box. Well done on a victory for the EG Evolved Round 2 of the ACC GT3 Championship. But a win after win after win. Last week, taking your first victory in the Pro-Am. You got a win of a full aluminum rig on the Friday. You come back on the Thursday and yet another win. And fighting out with the likes of Henry Platt, Janus Kraling for the 6th, 7th and 8th position. How are you feeling after that?
Oh, you know, I'm feeling very lucky, Stephen. It's been a wonderful season so far. Obviously, the first race was great. Then Friday, just out of nowhere, winning the rig, and I was like really shocked. So shout out to Simulator Cave for sponsoring that. And then yeah, today, I mean, I've been putting in so much practice. I know Nurburgring was one of the tracks I really struggled with. So I put in some extra practice. Saw some of the faster guys, saw the lines they were taking, and the gearing they were going through some of the corners, and that actually helps me be a lot more stable throughout the race, throughout quali. I mean, second lap, pulling a 52.4. It was really, and then trying to do a fast lap after that, it just didn't come around. The 52.4 is as fast as it was going. The race was awesome, lots of fighting. Although I tried to dive out of it early in the race, just to, you know, skip the guys sitting and basically bottlenecking in front of me. So decided to go for that short stint quickly, just a little splash and dash. Came out, was fighting Jason Farmer most of the race. That was great. Then we got stuck again and managed to squeeze past the guy in front of us. So yeah, it was a fun race.
Absolutely incredible one. And now looking into round 3, you got two victories thus far. There's still a lot more racing in the bag. What's the game plan to keep ahead of the pack? Because it looks like they're starting to close up on you at a rate of knots. Gerard Pretorius, who finished in 12th, was running similar lap times to you during the course of this race, and at one point was running a little bit quicker. Any worries about the Pro-Am field starting to close up that distance?
A little bit, yes. I have been contemplating this whole week if I should have done a tire change or not, and just tried to get as much time in the pits as I could, or save as much time in the pits as I could. But my teammates all discouraged me from that because Nurburgring is hard on the tires. So I decided to run full heavy fuel in the beginning, lighter fuel in the end. It allowed me to get some better pacing for the last sector or the last segment of the race. And yeah, ended up finishing around 30 seconds ahead of my second place. So close. If I had made an accident or if I made a mistake, slid out, hit a wall, whatever the case may have been, I would have definitely been really struggling for that first over the line. But yeah, did my best, kept it clean, tried not to get any drive-throughs or anything. And yeah, hoping the rest of the race is good just as well. But the field is closing in. I can feel it. I can definitely see that I need to put in some extra practice and just try to stay as consistent as possible.
It's going to be an interesting one. Before I let you go and recover after a hard race and taking the victory here at Nurburgring for the Pro-Am division, anything you want to say to our sponsor EG Evolve Simulator Rigs as we head in towards the Valentine's Day, to any of the teams, the drivers, anyone in the background, and most importantly, I think you can agree with me on this one, the legendary virtual grandstand with all our petrol heads that watch, they tune in, they become part of the show, the living, breathing part that follows the grid through in turn 1.
Oh, yeah. I cannot thank everyone enough. EG Evolve Simulator Cave for doing what they do, helping out RaceFace to achieve better things, helping with prizes, and just, you know, sponsoring and being like a really big part of the team. I appreciate all the teams that are driving on the track, all the drivers. They really do drive their hearts out. GSRT really are starting to give me a bit of a run for my money. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone that's watching and supporting. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Kick'em taking the victory here in the Pro-Am division. And what a run it was for him. But there can only be one winner overall. And in the Pro, it goes to Bago Hrobler. And man, oh man, I can hear the wolves howling from here. Bago, a victory over a late pit stop. How are you feeling after that one? That was nail-biting.
How's it seeming? Yeah, nail-biting indeed. I think got very lucky tonight. The stars aligned. That's what we said last week. You know, if there's an opportunity, we'll be there to capitalize. So yeah, worked out for us tonight.
Well, let's take through that because, well, it went a bit wild out there for the start, where suddenly Abschmeyer got clipped by LaRue. You got caught in the concertina. Sean Lorero was all over the back of you. At which point of the race did you decide, hang on, I'm going to go long in this one?
Well, I wasn't fueled to go long. I only had enough fuel for the first 10 to do the 40 minutes, so that was always the plan. With the Ford, it's generally sort of on the dot halfway is the best time to pit just because of how it is on tires. And then, but yeah, like you said, I got very lucky in lap 1 with a little incident ahead of me. So, I mean, I think it cost me like a second or two maybe, just having to lift and avoid, but didn't get caught up in it in the sense of damage or anything like that. And I had nice clean track ahead of me then because Chris had got away, so I could really just settle into the rhythm and yeah, sort of assess the rest of the race from there.
And with the race, it also got a bit busy going through the back markers that were in the fight to their own. At any point, did you feel, hang on, this is going to cost me the lead, especially heading into the last 9 minutes of the race, where suddenly you're on top of one another?
No, not really. I think that's why I said the stars kind of just aligned for me tonight. I had Jared on comms the whole time. You know, every race we in Discord and we chatting throughout the whole race, and thankfully for me, when Jason and Christoph did their second stops, they came out right by Jason, so he could keep me updated on their lap times. So we knew we sort of didn't have to worry about Jason because he was on a no tire strat and he was going to fall off towards the end of the race. But I think when I did my second stop, I came out like a second and a half ahead of Chris, and that was just a huge shout out to Jared for that one because he was keeping me updated the whole time. So we knew exactly when to do that second stop to come out ahead of Chris. And then, I thought he would catch and we'd have a fight, and then at least he would have to pass me on track as opposed to just leading the whole race. But I think with him having that fight with the back markers that he did after his second stop and having to get by Jason, I think the tyre management was just a bit better for me. And, by the time we got to the last 10 minutes, it was sort of level peggings on lap time. So, yeah, just like I said, I got lucky. I think I had to pass back markers maybe 2 or 3 times during the whole race, and each time they were super, what's the word? Not compliant, but super friendly, and just sort of got out the way as soon as they possibly could, and in really nice places as well, so minimal time loss. So, yeah, just one of those nights where everything just worked.
I think the driver that was the nicest to you was your own teammate that decided to throw himself into the shadow realm to not hold you up too much in through the Mercedes complex. But with that being said, Bago, anything you want to say? We're heading into Valentine's Day, to our amazing, amazing drivers and teams out on the circuit, our amazing sponsor, EG Evolved, and our amazing grandstand that was really showing the love tonight to all the drivers and teams.
Yeah, just huge shout out to the sponsors. That without them, a lot of what we do here wouldn't be possible. And then Valentine's Day, as you say. So guys, I don't want to see anybody on the practice servers on the 14th. I think I'll chat to Bathurst and we'll switch it off for that day. So go out and go. Have a great day with your loved one. And then the spectators. I think if it carries on like this, I think we're shaping up for a good season. We've had some guys coming back now, joining Pro Division as well. That's showing some great pace. So I think it's probably just gonna get better from here. So and then to the drivers, obviously. I think if we look at the last couple of seasons, then the turnout for this season is really impressive, and we just keep getting more registrations every week. So huge shout out to those guys, and let's keep these grids full until the end of the season.
It's going to be a great one and an absolute epic one. Bago Krobler taking the victory overall and in the Pro Division, tying up the points between himself and Christoph heading into Laguna Seca. But folks, as that comes to a close, well, we have now reached the end of the show, and my oh my, it's sad to see you all go. But with it all being said, it's going to be a great, great time. Keep an eye on EG Evolved, as they do have a fantastic Valentine special for you all, and this is a very, very great special. You want to go and get yourself organized, get yourself going, especially with some exciting sim racing here in South Africa coming up in RaceFace.Pro and around the show. So you get to pick up some of the best equipment that you will ever need with the likes of Acertech and the likes of LIGO coming to the likes of Logo coming to the staple in EG Simulator Rig. So it's good to see that more brands getting in there. SimMagic, Acertech, Mozza, and so much more coming through into the show. And we can't wait to see them going. But Valentine Special, you have got, buy 2 items, you get 5% off. Buy 3 items or more, and you get 10% off. The promotion is only valid for a limited time only. Valentine Special. And there's some this Valentine's, treat yourself or someone who understands your racing obsession. And with that being said, a driver, a commentator, a steward, an admin, and soon to be my Valentine, Cameron de Bastos, who was out commentating. Cameron, I don't know about you, but the Pro and Pro-Am division was by far the best side-by-side battles here at Nurburgring, and showed each other some love, sometimes a little too much in the corners.
Well, Stephen, on the AM gold and silver side, we had some good action also. From the start, we had some cars trading paints, going side by side. Of course, we had some incidents happening, which is sad, but we still had it. But it was still phenomenal racing there on our AM server side also, and congratulations to all the winners in both those categories there, but also to your Pro and Pro-Am drivers. I'm going to have to go watch back, because if you're saying it's good, then I have to go and see it.
That's a perfect way to spend some time with your loved one. But with that being said, folks, thank you so much for joining both of us here tonight. Big shout out to Cameron jumping in to do commentary for our gold and silver. Good to have them back on the air and showing off their racing. If you want to catch all the action and relive it, hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification out on YouTube, and also share the video out with family and friends. Show them what sim racing is about, and also take up that fantastic special with EG Evolved Simulator rigs. So much more to come, as we've got not only LMU next week and the next round of ACC, but come the 3rd of March, we're going to be kicking things off with our iRacing as well. So there's plenty of racing. It doesn't matter what sim you're on. iRacing, LMU to ACC. There is a home for you here at RaceFace.Pro, and we can't wait to see you out on circuit. Feel free to join us out on SimGrid, or down in the description we have got our Discord. We look forward to seeing you all there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from Cameron Bastos and myself, Stephen Koenig, would like to wish you all well and a happy Valentine's Day. And like always, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.